Hi, welcome to Unity of Mesa Online. I'm Reverend Kathy Kellogg, and today I'm joined with John Groves as our meditation facilitator and our musicians Stephen Chavez and Becca Hines. Today we are looking at the last of our Words to Live By series, and the topic is our spiritual toolbox. And we're going to be looking at the words of wisdom that were presented through our different lesson series starting in January of this year. And we're going to revisit the words to remember and hopefully to revitalize them, to stir up the energy they hold so they become active tools in our spiritual toolbox. We want to use these tools for our everyday living that we might enliven our experience at this now moment. And so our affirmation for today is, I put spiritual principles to work in my life. Together. I put spiritual principles to work in my life. Now will you join me with opening prayer by gently closing your eyes, focusing on that breath, and breathe into your body, breathe into the space that you're in. Let that breath return your thoughts to your mind. And then take that breath and allow yourself to drop into the heart. And let us breathe into that pattern of wholeness inherent within each one of us. Let us breathe into that pattern of wholeness that exists within each situation, whether visible or not. Breathe into the underlying energy of the divine that permeates all creation and is behind all material form. Today, Spirit is inviting us to be the expression of God, to be the light illuminating the truth behind all seeming chaos and change. Spirit invites us to reaffirm that we are guided by infinite wisdom and led by divine love, guided to stand in truth and move from fear to faith, to be the hands and feet, the voice and heart of the healing, harmonizing power of God. Today we bless and lift up in our prayers all of those on our prayer list and on your prayer lists, those who've been affected by the wildfires in California and Arizona, those who've been affected by the floodwaters of the hurricanes and heavy rains, those affected by wind and those by heat, those who are marching for social justice and those whose hearts are just weary. Wherever there are calls for healing, either in mind, body, or spirit, whether personally or in the world, let us call forth the strength, the wisdom, the love of God inherent with each one of us, so that we might be the healing, harmonizing force of Spirit. And in being so, find the joy and peace reawakened in us, as us, and through us. We breathe in peace, we breathe out joy, and in all these things we're blessed, and so it is. Amen. Now let's hear our opening song with Stephen and Becca.
Love is my decision. It's up to me to give of my heart. Love is my decision. No one else can tell me to start. And once I decide to change my mind, God will show me how. Love is my decision right here and now.
Love is my decision. Up to me to stand on that bridge. Love is my decision. No one else can make me forgive. And once I decide to change my mind, God will show me how.
Now some things to know. Join us today after service for fellowship, discussion, and some laughs on Zoom in our virtual garden. It's not too late to sign up. You can register on our website at unityofmesa.org and you'll be sent the link. Do it now. Don't wait till the end or we might miss you. If you would like the prayer chaplains to pray for you or someone you care about, if you'll go to our Unity Care page under the Ministries tab on our website for prayer request forms, you can fill them out and it will go to prayer chaplains and they will hold that in prayer and confidentiality. There you'll also find information on direct prayer support and other spiritual support that we offer. And now we have a message from Reverend Judy.
All right, folks, it's time for a transformation. And this is an announcement for our white congregants. Don't turn me off yet. We all know a transformation is deeper and more beneficial than just a change. Nothing I say here is meant to offend, but it is meant to challenge. I am no longer willing to be a silent observer to atrocities and injustices based on systemic racism. I cannot teach what we teach and not engage in action after my prayers. So are you okay? Are you okay being a citizen in a country with laws still in the books which create unequal opportunities? Are you okay with the current policing and sentencing policies in our local country, in our local community, in our country? Are you okay with sitting silent because you really are not sure of what you can do that would have a significant impact given your circumstance? If you had even a slight nod of no to any of these, I invite you to join Kathy and I in a 10-week exploration of what we can do to be part of a process for dismantling racism. If you can vision yourself as an aspiring white ally for the people of color in our community, we would like to have you join us as we take some deep dives into issues of racism. This group will meet for 2 hours every other week between September 16th and November 11th. We will be following a curriculum developed by the Unity Center in San Diego. There will be homework, including video clips, movies, and books to read. Last Sunday, Kathy and I met with our Black congregants. We listened to some stories of their life experiences and how systemic racism has impacted their lives. They will be meeting again as a group where it is safe to share stories they have never shared before, and so blessed by their sharing with us last Sunday. After our separate meeting times are over, we will merge groups to be able to have deeper and more open, honest conversations. All of us who participate with the intention of transforming the current status quo will come to the table with more skills and less unconscious biases. We will be better equipped to create transformation together. If this piques your interest, go to our website. You can get the link and watch a video from Unity Center San Diego that gives more information, including the reasoning for separated groups, and you can register to participate. We hope you are in a position that you would like to join us as we take on this huge, huge issue within our community in order to be part of the greater transformation in this world. Thank you.
Thank you, Judy. It is important work. And part of our important work is to be a presence of prayer power in the world. And every year, Unity churches all over the globe come together for 24 hours to pray and uplift the world in an event that we call World Day of Prayer. The power of collective prayer is amazing, and it does make a difference. This year's theme is From Fear to Faith, and a special event will be offered online through Unity Worldwide on September 9th through 10th, guest speakers and such. But on September 10th, Thursday, September 10th, here at Unity Mesa, we will hold a prayer vigil in the garden. The garden, our real garden, will be open for a few hours early in the morning and then again in the evening for prayer, meditation, contemplation, to light a candle. The times and registration for this event are on our website, and registration is required so that we don't have too many people on site at one time. We can maintain our physical distancing and keep everybody well. So if you would like to be part of this movement of prayer, please check out our website or determine to mark it on your calendar and to take time on September 10th to add your prayer power to the world. Every Friday at 10 o'clock, I do a 5-minute Bible talk, which is just looking at different aspects of the Bible. Right now, we've been looking at metaphysical interpretation, how to break open the words so that they are meaningful and pertinent to today's daily living. And at Tuesdays at 10, Karen and Tony continue to lead the Sangha meditation group. If you'd like to register for that, if you'll go to our website to our classes tab and register, you'll receive the link to join them in Zoom. And now it's time for our offering. And even though we won't be in our building now through the month of September, and physically not staffing our buildings, we continue to care for our physical location and to do the work that keeps us connected and ready to return whenever that might be. And we are looking forward to it, waiting to hear. We appreciate all the ways that you help support the ongoing work of this spiritual community. You can support this ministry directly through online giving using the Gift Plus app or by sending a check in the mail. You can support us by indirect giving by adding Unity Church of the East Valley as your favorite charity on Smile Amazon or Fry Rewards. All this information more can be found on our website, unityofmesa.org. And if you're watching on YouTube, how cool is it? You can just click the link in the description. But now let's take that gift of love in our hands and our heart, in our minds, and say with me our offering prayer. Divine love, flowing through me, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, Spirit of Abundance. And now let us prepare for meditation with John Groves.
Our affirmation for today is, I put spiritual principles to work in my life. I think of a spiritual principle as a truth or creed by which to live. Unity sets out for us the 12 powers and a number of other truths that supply meaning and enrich our lives. Among them, we count gratitude for all things and experiences, and faith that what we express with words as our intentions will be manifest in our lives. And above all things, we have love as the greatest gift for self and others. Love liberates us from any restrictions we may have set for and on ourselves. As the Apostle Paul expressed it in his letter to the Ephesians, chapter 3, verses 17 and 19, that the Christ may dwell in your hearts through faith as you are rooted and grounded in love, so that you may be filled with all the fullness of God. As we prepare for our time of meditation, let's close our eyes and take a few deep breaths. We set aside potential distractions and focus on the love that directs our every thought and action and open ourselves to Spirit's leading. As our time for meditation comes to a close, please take note of your surroundings and prepare to rejoin our morning service. Our affirmation again is, I put spiritual principles to work in my life.
Is the world a little more peaceful? Ocean and sky a little more blue? Is humankind a little bit wiser about the good that we can do? Does the sun shine a little bit brighter where before there was only rain? If so, then I'm glad I came.
These are my last words for all of the earth to hear. If all that I have ever been is about to disappear.
These are my last words. There's nothing that I need to say. I have only tried to serve. It's never been about talking anyway. So much hurt there is to heal. It's hard to understand.
All I can hope to feel is that I'm doing what I can.
Is the world a little more peaceful? Ocean and sky a little more blue? Is humankind a little bit wiser about the good that we can do? Does the sun shine a little bit brighter where before there was only rain? If so, then I'm glad I came. Have I given hope to the hopeless? Has a hungry soul been fed? Has a child stood a little bit taller 'cause of something that I said? Have I left a little kindness? Have I eased a little pain? If so, then I'm glad I came. For that, I'm so glad I came. If this is my last song, what do I leave behind? What do I pass on if I'm out of time?
Thank you, Stephen and Becca. You know, the last song, which is the last song they sang, is all about legacy. It's how did you make the world a better place for having been in it? A legacy is composed of now moments, strung together like pearls on a string. And right now is one of those moments. So how are you experiencing this now moment? Are you living within the fullness of your spiritual potential? Are you using the spiritual tools to experience your amazing wholeness? What words of wisdom are directing your divine expression? We're going to be looking at that today. A lot of you have told me that since the pandemic, you've been watching a lot of TV. Have you seen the show Tough as Nails? It's a show of challenges, 12 ordinary Americans, 6 men, 6 women, equally divided into teams that challenge each other with real world jobs and on job sites. So like they've laid track for a railroad, and they've cleared brush for wildfire, fire break. They've climbed electrical poles, and they've thrown garbage bags, and it's been quite wild and fun because it tests their strength and their endurance and their mental toughness to see their way through the challenge and to work together as teams. And so the teams compete for a monetary prize, but individuals also compete for individual prizes. And one night the individual challenge was with Michelle, 62, who is a gate agent, and Louis, who's 35 and a scaffolder. And their job was to thread electrical cable through conduit and then affix the conduit, attach it to the frame of a house so that they can go from the electric box to the light switch and the light turns on. And what was difficult about this challenge was that they had to go around the frame of a door. So each one of them had all the pipes that they needed and the electric cable and the tools. So Michelle's strategy was, when the buzzer went off, was to look at the whole project, what was entailed and what would she need, and then she went to work. Louis's strategy was that he would see what came first and then next and next, so he went step by step. Michelle won. And it wasn't because of the strategy she picked, because I think either one of those would have worked, but she knew how to use one of the tools provided, and that was a conduit bender, where you put the conduit pipe into it and it gently bends it to rounded to where the electrical cable will go through and make those bends. Where Louis didn't know what it was, didn't know how to use it, and so he was cutting pipe, which took too long, or he used his foot to bend the pipe, which crimped it and the electrical cable couldn't go through. And so she knew what to do with the spiritual tool, or with the tool that she had at hand. And it's like us. We have the same tools as spiritual principles to work with in life, to turn on our light, to help us move through life with ease and grace, to make those turns and to be flexible. But we have to know what those tools are, how to use them, and then activate them in our lives. And so today we're going to review what's in our toolbox, considering the words of wisdom from the authors of the different lesson series we've had this year. Inspired by Spirit, they give us guidance on what is going on and how to create the life that we want to live, fully abundant and whole. Our first series this year was the 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. And it's all about the agreements that we make with ourselves, with others, starting with the fact that we're domesticated on the planet. When we come into this world, our society takes us and bends us and molds us, and we take on self-limiting beliefs so that we can fit in to that container that they have. And then we subdue our joy. We sort of get cut off from that. But using ancient Toltec wisdom, Don Miguel Ruiz gives us a code of conduct to use. Agreements with ourselves that help us live a life of integrity, a life of joy and abundant living. And so let's look at those. I'm sure most of you have got them memorized. The first one is, be impeccable with your word. We get to choose the words we use, and we want to choose the thoughts and the words that give us a life of integrity, that we speak deliberately to create that which we desire. So mindful of our words, being impeccable with our word. Don't take it personally, which is pretty self-explanatory. It's that, you know, when someone's at you, when you don't take it personally means that what they're saying or doing is a reflection on who they are and what they're thinking and doing, not a reflection on you. So don't take it personally. It's not about you. It's about them. Don't make assumptions. When somebody says something you don't understand, or you take in a wrong way, or it gives you discomfort, is ask the clarifying questions that will help you better understand where they're coming from. Don't make the assumption and get it wrong. And the fourth one is always do your best. Always do your best. And your best may look different from day to day, but do your best in that moment with what you've got. We also added a fifth agreement, which was be skeptical, but learn to listen. So be skeptical, that we speak with symbols that are true because we agree that they're true, but they're not always really true. And so when we're willing to listen to what somebody says, really willing to listen to the truth underlying it, we can understand the meanings of the symbols of the words that they use and can better communicate with people. So the 4 agreements, the spiritual tools are: be impeccable with your word, don't take it personally, don't make assumptions, always do your best, and be skeptical, but learn to listen. The next set of spiritual tools came from the book, The Eye of the Storm by Gary Simmons. And in that, the overall premise is that we're called to be peacemakers, peacemakers in our own lives and in the lives of others and in the world. And the book gave us tools on learning how to embrace conflict, not merely managing it, to use it to teach us of things that we might not otherwise learn. There's potential within conflict for us to grow. And then, of course, using what we learn, using the tools and activating them in life, we do become that peacemaker. So here are some thoughts from the book, the words of wisdom. No one is against you, not even your own life. Comes from the principle that we are whole and complete. As being one with God and an expression of God, we are whole and complete. Therefore, the experience of an adversarial relationship arises out of how we relate to that experience, not how that experience relates to us. So the belief that someone or something is against you, that enemy, we need to remember that the enemy is a reflection of our belief, and that belief is not true, because no one and no thing is against us. Another thought was to make friends with conflict. We're usually uncomfortable with it and try to avoid it. But if we're willing to embrace it, we can discover the power, that teaching opportunity within it, and grow. Two, the ideas were was authentic being, that we move in the same direction as our spirit. We move in the same direction as our spirit, and then we do conscious doing, which comes from who you are as an expression of God. So when we make friends with conflict, we can be authentic and then do consciously moving in that direction and being that expression of spirit. Because when those two are out of balance, out of integrity with each other, the being and the doing, that's where tensions come from and stress is created. So when we stay in integrity, where our words and actions reflect our understanding of wholeness, we can make friends with the conflict and grow. A third thought was see it right, because what you see is what you get. And isn't that true? What you think you're going to see is exactly what you're going to get. You create that image and it comes to you. But if we see it right, if we see it from principle, we can see the truth behind all things and be able to stand in that truth, to be authentic and to consciously do. In the book, it talked about 4 ways, 4 winds of conflict that might be swirling in that storm that comes around us. And then it gave 4 attributes of wholeness for us to move back into the center, to be unruffled by the tension and the stress. And so the first wind of conflict was that sense of separation, that believing that we are disconnected from spirit, that we only connect to what the outer and the material world, versus the attribute of wholeness of communion, that we know that we are connected with God. We are part of the divine expression. And so we can move from that sense of separation into our realization of communion and calm the storm. Another storm might be come out of misperception, that we see ourselves through the lens of self-worth, which is always usually pretty limited, or that we beat up on ourselves. But if we connect with the attribute of wholeness of principle, to see with principle that we are whole, we are abundant, we are expressions of the divine, then we move there again from swirling into the center, moving from misperception of who we are to the truth of who we are by standing on principle. Then there's the competing needs, goals, and values that need to be right, the need that you're always going to get your own way. Those competing needs and values and goals that you have create that tension and stress. And to move out of that, to move to the eye of the storm, we go back to purpose, which is the universe's intention to be through you the presence of God. We move from that human piece of needing to be right and always having our way to the center of, I am what the universe has intended me to be. I am the presence of God. And it shifts us out of the storm into the calm. And the last one is defensiveness. How many times have we felt defensive, that we had to defend ourselves? But when we do that, we move ourselves out of showing up to be present to that moment, to that attribute of non-resistance, of just being present so that we can move through that moment and gain what we need to gain and to move on. And all of this, no one is against you, not even your own life. Make friends with conflict, see it right, help us to establish ourselves to be peacemakers. And there again, peacemaker in our own life, find peace at the center, the core of our being, that we might be peace wherever we show up. In the month of May, we studied a series of lessons from the book, The Most Important Thing, Discovering Truth at the Heart of Light by Adyashanti. And from that came two important questions. The first being, what is the most important thing in my life? And the second, what are we in service to? So it's, what's the most important thing in my life? And then how do I act upon it? And it was all about spiritual practice. We come to spiritual practice to learn more about who we are and the spiritual tools and the principles that we stand on. Because the deeper reality is already arising from within us. And the first way it comes into our consciousness is that drive, that yearning to know more and to be willing to learn more about who we are, because we feel that deep within ourselves, that we are more than how we are showing up, that we are a greater expression of spirit. And it talked about befriending fear, because anytime we start a spiritual practice, it moves us to the edge of the known into the unknown, doesn't it? And as long as we stay in the known, we feel safe and we don't need to grow any further. But when we get to the edge of that which is unknown, we really invite the way of grace to enter our lives, allowing us to accept a deeper wisdom that we haven't reached yet. So we befriend that fear and invite grace, that shift of understanding, that shift of conscious awareness, that aha moment where we get a greater glimpse of the truth of who we are. We seek what we already are, and by seeking reality as if it were other than what we are or what is happening, we unwittingly avoid it. Meaning, can we be present in this moment to the truth instead of thinking it's something that we don't know, that it's something beyond our reality? It is there, it is true about who we are. We just have to awaken. We have to be willing to jump off and to dig deeper into the wisdom of knowing the truth of what we already are. Because if we think it's something else, something that we haven't attained yet, it's one way to avoid it. And so in this book, The Most Important Thing, Adyashanti talked about meditation and how to be present. And what he said but to the idea of the chattering mind says when you leave the mind alone, it doesn't bother you. It's just don't get wrapped up into it. Don't get hooked into what the mind is chattering about. Just be present to the moment and allow it to unfold. He quoted, "At no moment is the wave something other than the ocean, and at no moment is the ocean something other than the wave." We are one with one. We don't stand outside and say, I want to be a part of the ocean. We are the wave. We are part of it. And to be willing to be present, to show up, and just to be present in that moment, to know that we're there, is enough for it to open up and continually teach us about how we are part, so that we can see the greater ocean instead of just our little wave. So the most important thing had 2 important questions for us. What is the most important thing in my life? And what am I in service to? Our last series of lessons was the lessons of the turtle, Living Right Side Up by Steve Goudier. It was wonderful stories of turtle and all the gifts that he learned as he was turned upside down and had the time to accept the gifts that were all around him. There was the gift of the accident, which talked to him about the power of choice, that he was free to choose his own way in life and not having to go through the well-trodden path of others. There was the gift of the tree, where he learned about honor and honoring self through passion and potential and his purpose. There was the gift from the cloud, where he learned about affirmations, can turn dreams into reality, to affirm what you want, to bring it into material form, to manifest it. There was the gift of the butterfly, where he learned the importance of living in the now moment, because that's where life happens, is in the now. From the gift of the mountain, he learned about small goals and taking a step at a time. And then the gift of friendship, which is that energy that people took to support us and encourage us along our way. And so what we found out was that those gifts of choice, honor, affirmation, now, goals, and energy spelled out the word change. And as change is a part of our everyday life, these are wonderful spiritual tools to remember to help us along our way. And so that brings us up to date, sharing these words of wisdom, words to live by that support and encourage us along our spiritual path. Words that help ground us as we awaken to the truth of our origin and our purpose. Our purpose is to be the expression of God, to live fully in the moment as a fully aware spiritual energy that can transform our world within and without. An authentic breathing source of healing, harmonizing love. And, just to have fun without those self-limiting concepts, to be full out joy that comes from that full out living of being the divine. Our affirmation for today was, I put spiritual principles to work in my life. I hope that by revisiting and remembering some of the tools that we've learned along the way this year will help resonate and support and encourage you on your path in this now moment. Our affirmation, I put spiritual principles to work in my life, and let us affirm this for ourselves. My life is enriched through my practice of spiritual principles. As I deepen my understanding of myself, I become increasingly aware of my oneness with God. I commit to daily prayer and meditation. I view challenges as opportunities to practice the principles I know. I contemplate the personal meaning of sacred writings and apply timeless truths to everyday situations. And so it is. May you use your spiritual tools and practices to turn on the light. Blessings.
You and me, together we can build a brighter day. From what we know and who we are, we come to find the good that we can do today to be the change we wish to see in the world. All the good that we can do today to be the change we wish to see in the world.
Thank you, Stephen and Becca, for your music. Thank you, John, for the meditation. And thank all of you for all the ways that you continue to show up to be the light in the world, to shine forth. And let us remember always that the light of God surrounds us, the love of God enfolds us, the power of God protects us, and the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Till we meet again, blessings.